are asked to please lock all external doors and vehicles and remain vigilant. Review your surveillance cameras and contact police if you observe anything suspicious. If you see this individual, do not approach him.
So you have an escaped murderer running through these trees and terrorizing, essentially, the community, making headlines around the world. When did it kick in that, okay, this thing's being watched by people in every corner of the world? For me, I didn't realize it until the 13th or 14th or 15th. I don't think I've watched my own streams yet. What's going on, guys? So we are on day 23 of the manhunt for Joshua Zimmerman, and here's what we know. He escaped from the DeSoto County courthouse on June 14th. We are now in July. The last confirmed sighting was 23 days ago out front of the courthouse, and that was the last visual confirmed sighting of the escaped prisoner. From there, the prisoner made it to the region of the 8900 block of Airways Boulevard, right before the Tennessee border, okay? And thanked the individual for giving him a ride. So keep in mind, meanwhile, while they just got to that location, nobody knew about an escape yet. It was minutes after, and they didn't know. It's not like he was driving and it was already known. So leave that in your head. So the guy leaves and goes on his way to wherever he was going. And from there, Joshua, he becomes a ghost. There is no sighting of him there. And that region is very amazing for a situation like that because it's very rural. So there's not going to be many sightings or ring cameras in that little region. It became an area of interest very quickly. Law enforcement, I'm not going to compare Pennsylvania's law enforcement because we have our state police force is one of the best. And I wish that they were there to help you guys because I heard about the sweeps that it's not a sweep. I wouldn't even call it like anything of sorts. They used like drones and stuff to go over wooded areas. Now, that doesn't work with the drones. So let me back it up. During the manhunt for Danilo Cavalcante, the drone operations were very expensive for a reason. They weren't coming out with DJI drones that can be bought at Walmart. They were coming there with $300,000-$400,000 pieces of machinery that were half the size of a Mini Cooper, made no noise, and had the most state-of-the-art stuff, right? And they couldn't get through the brush or the trees. So the authorities in that area are telling me that they did sweep it. They used the local drones, which are DJI, and they found nothing. Well, if it's 95 degrees here in Pennsylvania today, I don't know what it is out in Tennessee and Mississippi. I'm sure it's hot. A DJI drone is not going to see much. It's just not, okay? So with that said, if you live in any of the regions around DeSoto County, whether it's going towards Memphis, whether it's going towards Arkansas, whether it's going back toward Louisiana, no matter where you are, check your ring cameras, call in suspicious activity, start calling your friends and family. If you have any in Mississippi, the heck with just DeSoto County, because that was where they saw him. Okay, 23 days ago. That's where they saw him. The problem with this becomes what happened after. Now, the way manhunts work is they'll sit around and they'll wait for some movement and then have a sighting, at least a sighting. There hasn't been, with the exception of the next day, June 15th, so I guess I stand corrected. The last known sighting of the escaped prisoner is June 15th in DeSoto County. Still, DeSoto County. So June 14th, DeSoto County. June 15th, DeSoto County. July today, 6th, I think, nothing. So we have two sightings in DeSoto, right? And then he vanishes. We know he had help. They confessed in very odd ways. One of them said that the surveillance was taken by an outside entity, and then that they actually got a call from the outside entity to delete the footage, and they did it, which is funny. I had a phone call last night with somebody who works in the government, and I asked them, if you got a phone call in your region from an outside entity saying, hey, an inmate is about to escape or escaped, I need you to go and delete that stuff, what would you say? And he started laughing for obvious reasons. And I said, well, who would have to drop, what kind of a name drop does it take for somebody to call a courthouse and say, delete the footage, yes ma'am, yes sir, and then they go and do it? That he was stumped, and he didn't even hear about the case, which is funny. So if he didn't hear about the case, and he's out in the Arizona and California, I mean, he goes back and forth from both, and he hasn't heard about Zimmerman, and he doesn't understand, he doesn't believe, he thought it was a joke about the courthouse and the surveillance missing and all of that, and he still thinks it's a joke. He thinks that it's like he thinks it's one of those AI deep fake situations. It's not. That was the DA saying, guys, we've got a problem. We as in us, not you guys, because somebody what was his apology? We got fooled? It doesn't make sense. Then you have a sheriff. This sheriff, he made it far enough without me speaking about him. I'm going to grab onto him quick. He comes out and talks about the DA. So now the DA says that he confronted the outside entity in the hallway and said, I know it's you, kind of. He didn't give a quote, but he said something to the effect of, I ran into the outside entity. I know who he is. He knows I know who he is. Turn yourself in, kind of thing. But that was so weird, because then the sheriff comes out and he says, yeah, well, what are you talking about, bud? What outside entity? And he makes it almost as if this county needs help, and the help they need is coming. The feds are going to take a lot. They're going to get that dose of help they need. It's up to the public to find Joshua. That doesn't mean go out and look. That means check your surveillance, check your ring cameras. If you own a business, go through it. You literally never know what you're going to see. There is an escaped killer out there who hasn't had a sighting in almost 3 weeks. When you think about that, he is either very close to DeSoto County, in it. And to find out if he's in it, it might be hard for law enforcement, yes, because they can't go door to door. DeSoto County, wake up. If you're in DeSoto County, start calling people. Does everybody there know that you guys have a killer? He's going to rape your family. If you have a daughter or a mom or a wife or a girlfriend and they're out, they stand a great chance of getting assaulted. This is DeSoto. Guys, wake everybody up in DeSoto County. You guys can figure out if he's there. It's very simple. What you do is you call your neighbors. If they don't answer, you call another neighbor that does answer, then you call another one that does, and 6 of you go to that one house and knock up and see why nobody's answering. Start looking for signs. Check on your neighbors. Check on the elderly. Check on single moms. Check on people that might have been down a bad path before and used drugs and got involved with the wrong crowds. And you just don't know who Zimmerman is either taking advantage of, is holding hostage, or is manipulating. There's really no in between. He has a lot of resources, but the thing is, he has a lot of opportunities that come up to him, like the ride to toward Memphis, and he got out before, but that was an opportunity. That person wasn't in on it, and that was a piece of luck, and this guy doesn't need any more luck. He had enough luck. The luck ended. The luck needs to stop. In order for you, if you're going to rely on law enforcement in DeSoto County, you're going to wait until somebody is killed. And then what? You're going to come out and say, nobody told us about a killer. No, you guys are local. If you guys don't know about a killer on the loose in DeSoto at the very least, I understand Memphis not knowing, even though they should have known from day one if he was headed there. But DeSoto, wake up, go to your neighbors. Because this guy cannot be, what did he do? Build an underground, give me a break. Go to the homes, call your friends, make sure everybody answers the phone. If you don't know everybody in your I don't know everybody in my neighborhood, but check on them, okay? The police aren't going to go up to homes, because what if Zimmerman is in the house and he starts firing at the hostages? That's a possibility. So obviously you guys have to be careful. If there is something suspicious, meet with your neighbors. Don't make a scene and call the police, but check on your neighbors. Start calling 911. It's there for a reason. They need phone calls. You look for stuff, look, the guy had to have changed. There are clues, okay? DeSoto is not the size of Mississippi. Give me a break. The terrain might look a little bit wild, but you guys are from Mississippi. I thought, you guys should be able to stand your ground and go find this guy. Don't rely on the same people that let him out of the building. Don't rely on the same people that let him get a head start. Don't rely on the same people that aren't giving you updates. Don't rely on the same people that you haven't heard from since June 15th. Don't rely on those people, because here in Pennsylvania, we didn't. And they were giving us updates. They had to after a while every day, even though there were no updates. We didn't rely on them, okay? We were checking on our neighbors. People were going to the doors. People were going all around. They were looking in their backyards. They were armed on their yards waiting. I feel like nobody even care. It's either people care, obviously, in that area, but it's that not enough people know. And the ones that do know either are fully informed or they are not informed at all. There is no in between. Some people think he's wanted for he's a suspected attempted murderer. Some people think he is a murderer, and then many don't know he has killed more than one. He has raped more than one. He has kidnapped more than one. So that is what we're dealing with, not some one-off killer. The people that haven't been killed yet, you guys are survivors. You guys should get a t-shirt. The guy that gave him a ride, bless your heart, because you need a t-shirt that says you survived Zimmerman 24. The fact that people are surviving means he doesn't want to raise a red flag at all yet. That is another reason why he didn't just pop the driver. Zimmerman is a lot smarter than people may think. We underestimated Danilo, and we thought that we weren't underestimating him given the fact that it was a tight perimeter. But guess what? He was 45 minutes away with a stolen van, got a gun, had a shootout. We're dealing with a guy way worse than Zimmerman, who already had connections getting out. Danilo, his connections started working when he got out. Zimmerman's connections worked to get him out. So that's the difference. It's a big difference. It's not the same stuff we're dealing with. This man is going to kill. I'm going to show you guys a few photos that are enhanced of what he can look like. And obviously, I try to clear him up a little bit. But you guys have to keep in mind, I'm going to tweet the photos out. You have to keep in mind that this guy can easily pass as like a pretty boy, or he can pass as a gangster, or he can pass as a woman. He can pass as just about anything that, I mean, look, we're dealing with. Those eyes are enough to say what we're dealing with. He's able to literally almost change appearances, but the eyes stay the same for the most part, guys. You can see the eyes. You have a tattoo there. That's what we have to be looking for. The eyes look the same. They're the eyes of a killer, literally a Ted Bundy that we're dealing with, but his eyes never change. Now that, you have to keep in mind, when he left the prison, he looked somewhat, he had a little beard, right? So he could be growing facial hair again, but he's not going to do it to that effect. That's him unshaved. But when he left the prison, keep in mind, guys, he had something on his head. He might be going back to this look, right? Because you won't be able to tell that that's Zimmerman from first glance. And now if he was to put on a wig, you're definitely not going to know it's him. So this is another photo of Zimmerman. It's enhanced a lot to that. I mean, it looks almost cartoonish, but this is the gist of it. You guys can see that with that hairline, which is kind of like the one that he's going to end up having while being on the run. He's been on the run now for 3 weeks, just about. So at the end of the day, when his appearances, he left looking, this is after the murder, or not murder, I'm sorry, attempted murder. But when he left the courthouse, he had a little bit of, we don't know if he had hair because he had one of these on, right? So he could have a hairstyle similar to this by now. He could have a cut similar to this. If he wants to stay a man, he can do it like this, and that's likely what he's going to do, you know? But again, look at the eyes and look at that stuff. And I'm going to tweet the photos out for you guys so that way you have an idea of what to look for. And I'm also going to end up, you know what? I'm going to put out a picture of him in a dress because we need to see what he looks like in a dress. Everything is on the table. We need movement. We need to see something, and that is what it comes down to. These people get reckless, and we don't want him to get reckless to the point where he harms somebody. That's why it's important to start now. The clock is ticking. If he's still in DeSoto County, he's going to make a run for it soon because it's dying down, but we don't want him to make a run for it with an entire family in the car. If he is to take a minivan and load it up with kids, a family of 6 or something, then what? Is that when we start looking and hope that we catch him? No, he killed enough, and he killed enough people. He almost killed enough others. He raped enough. He's kidnapped. He needs to go to prison. In my opinion, I believe it is a greater chance than, at this point, I can't even call it. Somebody's asking if I think he's in DeSoto County. It's a hit or miss. We have a few problems because there hasn't been a sighting, again, since June 5th. So is it possible? It's very possible, because if you don't see somebody, that means they're not moving, right? He's not walking through Memphis because they would have seen it. So there are a lot of industrial complexes that have some state-of-the-art surveillance. Coca-Cola provided surveillance. There's an Arsenal that provided surveillance of nothing. It doesn't show anything. So he did not take a lot of the routes that people think don't have cameras, and then the other routes do have cameras. So while he's on foot, this guy he becomes a ghost in the machine. That's not good because he's either right there in a home in DeSoto, which is a very likely thing. What he could be doing is, I mean, it's one of two things. The home was provided for him, or the area. Let's just say home, just to say home. If the home was provided for him and they didn't include an accomplice with the home, that means maybe the fridge was stacked, it was full. Maybe that means that he was given a full pantry. There's enough stuff to survive, right? But somebody's got to go to the store soon, or there is no store run, because he's not going to live in DeSoto County. He's not. If he's on the run, he's going to try to kill, and he's not going to try to kill people right that, like, he might if he gets caught. I'm not going to say we can't say for sure what he's going to do. Nobody can, except not even Zimmerman. He's psycho. He's a sociopath that can make a left turn when he's supposed to go right just because he saw a squirrel cross the street. The guy, he changes his mind on a whim. So it can go out with a huge gunfight. It can go out with an active shooter. It can go out with a family taking hostages. It can go out with him getting arrested very easily. It can go out with him being killed. Everything is on the table. The fact that he didn't kill the person that gave him a ride means that he's not as cold-blooded, but I'm going to stop that there. He is still a vile killer who will kill. The only reason that guy didn't get killed is because he did not give any insinuation that he had anything. The guy had no idea of an escape, period. So how would he give Zimmerman any kind of an insinuation that, oh, I'm nervous? If the guy acted nervous, I guarantee you Zimmerman would have broken his neck and taken the car. So the guy wasn't nervous because he didn't know there was an escaped prisoner. People are starting to find out there's an escaped prisoner. What that means is every car Zimmerman gets into, he's going to be very suspicious of that driver. He's going to look at that driver every few minutes, and then that driver is going to start wondering, why the hell is this guy so paranoid? He might not know anything about the dang escape, but he's going to get killed because he thinks that he knows about the escape. That's what we're dealing with. A man who he has a paranoia beyond belief where he will kill if he thinks just a little bit that you know who he is. And we need to make the U.S. know who he is. It's a great chance that he's in a car going cross country. So again, if you live from Memphis all the way to Connecticut, start being on the lookout at rest stops, at gas stations, truck stops along I-95, main highways too. Be on the lookout. I know that normally they don't do that. They don't go on main highways, but this is not a normal escape. The guy's, I'm not going to repeat it. You guys know what happened. It's far from normal. There's nothing normal about this. So be on the lookout. Check your ring cameras. Don't let your guard down, period, at all. He is dangerous. He will kill. And until they confirm he's not in DeSoto, which they won't until they have a sighting, right? They need a sighting. They can't just say, hey guys, we know he's in Memphis, and then he pops back out at DeSoto and kills 7 people. They have a problem. So we need to get a sighting. The police rely on sightings. The public call in sightings. There haven't been any sightings. So the number is 911. In DeSoto County, if you see something, call 911. Check your cameras now, today. It's Sunday. I'm not saying you have nothing to do, but there's a killer on the loose, and maybe next Sunday will be your last if you don't start looking for him now. So check your surveillance, lock your cars at night, secure your vehicles, lock your doors, put your alarms on. If you have a gun, sleep with it. If somebody's in your home at a time like this, listen, if you live in DeSoto County, I'm warning you, don't commit any crimes, don't commit any burglaries until this guy is caught, because they will kill you. Anybody that breaks into a home right now in that area is going to get shot and killed. Don't do anything stupid. You have a killer on the loose. So if you're another criminal in DeSoto County that's getting a funny idea to go commit a crime, this is not the time. Don't go and commit crimes in DeSoto County during a manhunt, because if they believe it's Zimmerman, they will kill. I'm not saying that they have orders to kill, but I'm saying they will. You don't want to play right now with the law. They are looking for an escaped killer, and by breaking into a home during the manhunt here in Pennsylvania, there were burglaries during the manhunt, and it wasn't outsiders. It was the killer, okay? And that gave them the hints that they needed. Don't go and burglarize a home now, and then they think it's linked to the killer, and they're chasing leads, and then they only find a low-life burglarizing idiot instead of a killer, okay? They're looking for a killer. So anything suspicious, call it in, check on your neighbors. I can't emphasize this enough. If everybody in DeSoto today, if you want this over today, you can do it. You guys can end it. You can end the manhunt in DeSoto County today. literally. And then you can sleep at night. How do you do that? You go with your neighbors and check on all of your neighbors. You go with your neighbors. You don't go alone. You go with your neighbors to check on your neighbors. Again, go with your neighbors to check on your neighbors. Do your own little sweeps without, I'm not saying anything illegal. You guys have to check on your neighbors. Don't go to other areas. Go down your street and check on your neighbors. If you haven't seen somebody outside that's usually outside, call the police for a wellness check. If you see somebody at a home with a single mom who you know isn't with anybody, and these are small towns, you know, people, like I would know if I saw somebody walking into my neighbor's house. Just keep your eyes peeled, make calls, spend your day instead of watching TV and being inside and barbecuing. Get to know your neighbors. Make sure that they're okay. This is a good time actually to forge new relationships. A lot of people didn't know each other in Chester County. Well, they did know each other, but neighbors weren't on a first name basis. You had people coming from different neighborhoods of interest during the manhunt for the know who are now friends because they had a bond during that manhunt. The community was in fear. There was no news. And it's exactly like what you guys are going through as the public. But Chester County, they said the hell with this. And when the citizens showed that they were in fear because the government was failing them, shit started happening. And sightings came in and helicopters came down. And I mean, it looked like a scene out of a movie overseas in a war zone. I mean, they had the craziest stuff going on. And you know why? Because the federal government does not like it when citizens like us don't feel safe in our areas. They just don't. When they feel that way, the states have a great chance of starting not a civil war, but discourse that's enough to lose trust in that state. Losing trust in the state means you lose trust in the feds. They don't play that game. The feds will they stepped in big time, but they are not going to let DeSoto County taint the trust of Mississippi with the feds. So if you see something, call 911, call your friends, call your family. If you have a big family, call them over and just, guys, start looking, not in woods, knock on doors. He's not hiding in the woods. They would have a scent. There is not a scent. They haven't found any evidence. They haven't found any indication of the escape. The surveillance, I mean, it doesn't get any crazier. So knock on doors in the neighborhood you know, not alone, because he'll take you in the home. Don't walk up to a house in a group if it's a house that you believe shouldn't have somebody in it. Call the police. Anything suspicious, if you have at all any suspicion and you just don't feel right, call the police. Don't take a chance at all. Call them. They'll be there quick. They're looking for a killer. Again, lock your cars or secure your cars, lock your doors. I'm going to be back on later on. I'm going to try. You guys have just as big of a job than the police are able to get him when they have a sighting. They're able to put him in custody. Marshals can, I mean, if the guy starts doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, they can kill him, they can arrest, they can do what they have to do, but it's up. There are 300 million of us and a couple thousand of them, right? So when they have 300 million people with their eyes peeled, the chances are Zimmerman is going to get caught, whether he's dressing as a woman, whether he's dressing as Zimmerman, or no matter what it is. If everybody's on the lookout, they would have caught, like Osama bin Laden couldn't be hiding. Now, another interesting angle is Mississippi has a lot of Indian reservations. That said, if you are at one of these reservations, I don't know how that stuff works, but I do know it becomes a problem if Zimmerman was to enter it. I don't know, and that's something that they're trying to figure out right now. It's a gray area. So if you see him, I think in an Indian reservation, you guys have your own law, so just hi-ya-hoa and shoot the guy, and we're good. You know, if he comes on a reservation, take care of him. I don't know if that's his plan, but there are a lot of reservations there, and Zimmerman has a little bit of a brain. So, again, if you see something, say something, call 911 if you're helping him. And if you're watching this and you're helping him, what I can say is it's never too late to turn yourself in, ever, because they will always have lenience, always. But there is a chance that you're not the first one in the door anymore. So if you're with Zimmerman, call, not in front of him, get away, call the police, turn them in. You obviously are not in the right state of mind to be there with a sociopath who can manipulate, you know? So call the cops, call and turn him in. He's not going to get lucky like this. He doesn't have connections everywhere. They're not taking him back to DeSoto County. I have confirmed that. They're not holding him in that area. That's not to say he's not staying in Mississippi, but he will not be going back to that little DeSoto County, that complex. So Again, if you see something, call 911, report all suspicious activity. Today's a beautiful day. Go out with your neighbors. This guy is likely, if he's in DeSoto County, he's inside. There, I mean, that's it. If he's in DeSoto, he's inside. He's not outside. So at the end of the day, he is there. If you guys go door to door and he's not there, well, thank you, because then we know that he's coming our way, but he's out of that area. Now, again, see something, say something, be on the lookout. I'm going to go live again later throughout the day, and if I have an update, I'll share it, but I don't want to go live unless there is an update, guys. I'm not going to be like false hope that there's something going on when there isn't. There simply isn't. So we need more sightings. We need more people to get involved. We need to spread awareness. The DA out there, shame on you if you're not, unless you have a gag order, which is why you're not speaking, then okay, say that. Otherwise, shame on you, the district attorney, for putting everybody in the dark. The sheriff, shame on you too for not updating the public. You guys were elected to serve and protect, and I mean, you guys are literally the top law enforcement officials in that area, and you just decided to tell everybody to figure it out on their own. Shame on you for that. You guys abused the public's trust tremendously by doing that. You guys don't deserve the public's trust. You lost it. You should save face by having a press conference at least once a day. Even if there's no update, be a big boy and say that we don't have an update. You're not going to be looked at as an idiot because you can't find a guy that's obviously 18 days ahead of you. You're going to be looked at as a crook if you don't update people when you have nothing. Now, you may be a good guy at heart, district attorney and sheriff. I know you two don't like each other, though. I know you two are having a fight about this outside entity BS. But listen, put your big boy pants on and hold a joint press conference at the same podium. Act like you like each other. You guys are fools. You two, the sheriff and the DA of DeSoto, you guys are fools. You guys are clowns if you don't update the public. That's the best definition. You won an election. And now what? You just say, okay, cool, I got the job. No, there's more to it than winning an election, but you have to update the public. You have to keep and catch criminals. You don't just catch them and release them. Give the public the update they deserve every day, not once a month. This is baloney, because by you holding back information, that slows the media down. So again, I'm going to emphasize that the blood is on your hands, the DA and the sheriff. Not because I'm saying you guys are involved, but because you're not updating the public. They need to know that this guy has not been seen in their area. Wake up. You are come on X, and we can have a press conference here. It'll be civil and just normal questions, what you can answer. But give an update. Tell people something. Don't leave them in the dark, because that happened in Chester County, and it didn't take them this long to bite back Chester County. But when they bit back, let me tell you, that county was shivering in their boots so quick because they knew their days were done. When Danilo got caught, they knew their days were done. They're never going to win an election again. They didn't do what they did, which was update the public. And they did. They started updating the public, and they're still in office. You see that? Now you, in DeSoto, you guys are highway robbers. You guys are going around winning elections and then disappearing. You left everybody on a cliffhanger. You said that there's a conspiracy to cover something up. You said that outside entities had come in to help. You started a firestorm. You started a huge situation bigger than the escape happens every day. Not there, but every day. What doesn't happen are the outside entities. What doesn't happen is the gun from the gate. What doesn't happen is assistance from the inside. What doesn't happen is having assistance on the outside after the inside. This was botched, and you can have a press conference without getting into details the way I just did it. You can do it. So again, if you see something, say something. I'm going to be going live throughout the day, and be on the lookout.